welcome to this secure check cashing information video. This particular video is designed to give you an introduction to the product. It won't be as detailed as our live demos, but if we've got time constraints and other issues that are making it difficult for us to schedule a time to do the live one, this at least will give you some information. What you're looking at here is the welcome screen. We've got our product installed on a Windows-based PC, so you would just click on an icon, much like I have here on my screen, to start the system and log in, and when you do, this screen is displayed. What you'll find is that the system is both software and hardware. Hardware devices include a camera, ID scanner, check scanner, and fingerprint reader, and all of these work together to make it very easy for you to work with the system without a lot of data entry work and with more accuracy that way. So I'll show you how they work together for you in creating a customer database. Meanwhile, what we're looking at here on the screen is advertising for add-on services. We partnered with other vendor companies that provide different types of services, things that you may want to be able to offer your customers that can bring them back more frequently than just simply cashing checks with you. Things like bill payment processing, money orders, money transfers, debit cards, and swap a gift buyback program, so that you've got some other services that may entice people back to your store. These are integrated such that you can actually call these services right through our software, and you don't need different icons, you don't need a separate PC to accomplish that. What we'll look at today, the actual secure check cashing system, is here on the right side of the screen with those big buttons. And with the system, you'll create a database of customer records. So I'll show you adding a new record for a customer. The devices work in that case to help you out. And the database will help keep you in compliance with all state and federal regulations. There's built-in reports for you in the system, and having the data on file means that whenever you need to retrieve that information, it's always available. Here at the top, we've got a small window into the customer database. This is another way that you can use to find and retrieve a customer record for an existing customer. The easiest way will be with the fingerprint image, which I'll show you in a moment. And down here at the bottom, last transaction is kind of a helpful reminder. You get busy, it's in the middle of the day, you're interrupted, you turn around and say, now what was I working on? So this will show you the last transaction that you ran through the system. So let me start and be a new customer for you. I have never been in here, but I'd like to cash a check with you. So the first step would be to add a customer record to the database. So we'll click Add Customer and take a picture of the person. Then we'll ask them for some type of photo ID, usually a driver's license, but could be many other things as well, and scan that in. At the same time, you'll get a fingerprint image, and again, we use this fingerprint to match the person to this record, so when they come back, that's their identification for you. Notice that we've got a message warning us that the ID we've used is expired. I've got a choice. I can either work with this one or hand it back and ask for something current. You have the same situation. Since this is a demo, I'll work with the ID that I have and get past it at this point. Not only do we have an image of the ID, but we also read the data from it and use that to fill in the blank. So there's no data entry here. It makes it very easy for you to work with. In addition, the system runs through the internet, and because of that, we've got various buttons on different screens that provide additional information. Now, notice the first button, OFAC lookup. This is a government watch list of people you should not do business with when you're in money services. and it's easy. You just click that button. It's a good habit to always check with each new customer to make certain that they're not on that watch list. These would be people like drug runners, money launderers, terrorists. So hopefully when you click it, you'll always see this message that says no, they are not. And you can set up the system so that going forward, each time a customer comes in, it's an automatic check against OFAC. We update it daily, so just in case between the first and second visits they do something bad that they might get on the list, you'll be able to check that. The second button, SOCH number lookup, this is an extra cost feature. It's one of two that are part of the product, and it's designed to help you validate the information on this person's identity. Since you're relying on them to identify themselves, you could also ask for their SOCH number, and we would come back with information based on that you would compare against the ID card the person gave you. Excuse me. You don't have to use that, but again, it's something that's there. It could be helpful on your business. If there's differences between the data that we find here and on the ID card, then you could ask the person to tell you why there are these differences. And depending on what and how they describe that, you could accept it or maybe be a little suspicious and decide you really don't trust this person in order to do business with them. Notice also a list of different forms of identification. It doesn't have to be a driver's license, passport, alien registration, Mexican ID, whatever people carry that identify them you could work with, and however many you've checked, they'll all be listed down here. Phone number lookup is useful. Say for example, I've come in with a paycheck. You could get the telephone number for my employer and make a quick call to verify that I'm currently an employee with that business. And by looking up the phone number, you can see that you've actually called a business phone and not just my friend with the cell phone who was hanging around the corner waiting for this call from you. So there again, useful information. I can add business phone, cell phone, email address. So at this point, whatever information you choose to carry on your customer records, we can input. And when everything is completed, we'll click the Finish button. And that adds the record permanently on the database. Notice we're still warning you we've used an expired ID, so we need to be aware of that. So here we have our record. I would now hand you the check that I brought in, and you put that through the check scanner, and the check scanner will read front and back of the check and bring that information in for you here. Notice that my check image is blank because I'm always reusing the same one. Yours would certainly be filled out. We've read the information at the bottom, the MICR data, and we also verified through the check scanner that it's magnetic ink, and if not, you'd have a flashing red light on that check scanner. We fill in some information down in this part of the screen. You've got a couple more lookup buttons. Before I get to them, let me go back up to the check image, because you notice that I've got some kind of message in red here on my check, which tells me the back of the check failed image quality assurance. Not quite sure what that means, but if I look on the back, I can see that it's blank, which isn't a good thing. So this is trying to warn you that it's not finding an endorsement back here. And that can happen. You get busy, you forget to check, so we've got your back on that. We'll warn you, hand back the check, get the person to endorse it for you. Now, if this particular check happened to be a treasury check, maybe a tax refund from Uncle Sam, we could use this Verify Treasury button. And what that would do for you is look up the check number that we've scanned in to see if Uncle Sam really issued a check with that number. And if so, what amount was the check issued for? And is there a hold or a stop payment on that check for some reason? For other types of checks, you could use the Verify Online button. This one is the second and only other extra cost feature in the product. If this is the first time you're getting a paycheck from this secure check cashing place, so you don't have any history with them at this point, Verify Online could be useful. You would look up the checking account number and the bank routing number combination. It would tell you if there's currently an open active account behind this check, and also it would give you a report card, kind of a history of bad check writing, ABCD, to help you decide whether to accept the check or not. Also, if the check looks familiar, even though you know I'm a new customer, you could click View Previous Checks, and what that would do is show you if you have cashed checks from this account for other customers on your database. And so that can help you in deciding whether to cash the check for me. Here in the yellow box, we're telling you who the current bank owner is of the checking account. You want to make certain that it matches the bank information on the check. If not, it could be an older version of the account. Maybe this bank bought the old bank and that's why there's a difference. We should be showing you bank history here, however, so another thing that could be is that maybe somebody was trying to get clever at home and create a fake check on you and didn't realize the importance of the routing number. So again, something else to give you a heads up on. Down here at the bottom, currently turned off on my demo, is a process we call Checkmate. When you cash a check, we record information about it on a nationwide database so we can compare each new check against that to ensure that it's not somehow a duplicate of one that another merchant using our system has already cashed. So if this check is unique, what you would see is this little horse in green and the words Checkmate Verified next to it. Otherwise, we'll pop up a screen warning you that this appears to be a duplicate check. Please don't accept it. So at this point, we'll decide, yes, we're going to cash this check and take the amount, whatever it happens to be, and enter it here in the green box. Next, we would select what type of check that is. This is something that you set up initially when you first get the system. Whatever labels you want to create. I've got payroll checks, government, personal checks, and by selecting a particular type, it also is going to select the fee that you'll associate with that check. The fee can either be a dollar amount value, or it could be a percentage of the check, could be a combination of those two as well. Now, if you are going to use the system such that the social lookup is incorporated in part of your process, as well as this verify online, and those two functions have an extra charge on them, you might also set up a fee type like I have, payroll check, new customer. And by selecting this fee type, it automatically includes an extra dollar or two in fee, and that way the new customer would cover this lookup cost for you. Or not, however you want to set up your system. So by selecting that, in my example, the fee would be $3 to cash this check. Above that, I have a checkbox, yes or no, called Keep the Change. And what that says is, by checking it, you would keep anything less than $1 as part of your fee, if the check cashing rules allow such a thing. So the 54 cents plus the $3 would be a total fee of $3.54. And now I'll click Save, and that adds the check information to the customer record, so you've got a permanent record of this transaction. A couple of things before completing. Print loyalty is something that's built into the system for you. You could use this kind of as a reminder to your customers, please come back, bring us your checks, we'll cash them here. Your customer information, or your store information, as well as the customer information on the card, so they know where to come back to. You could also have some type of a loyalty program based on number of visits or whatever you might like to set up. Something else built in, if you ever need information about a particular check for a customer, maybe it was bad, maybe it was some question about it, or whatever reason, you could select the check on the customer record and click Print Profile, and that would create a one-page report for you with the person's picture, ID, information, fingerprint, check that you've selected. If you're filing a claim or a complaint, then you could print this out and include that information if you needed to. To complete check cashing, I will click Open Register and notice that we've got the check listed as well as its fee. This is where we integrate with those other services I mentioned earlier on the welcome screen. Maybe I need to buy a money order or transfer money to a relative, so I can use the MoneyGram service that you've offered. Maybe I want to pay my cell phone bill or my water bill, and you'll use that service. Or maybe you set this up for general merchandise items. There's a built-in POS, so you can use it for that as well. However you would like to tailor this, you can in the system, and our technicians will help you set that up initially and show you how to keep it updated as you do your business. For our example, without cluttering things up too much, I will just leave this at cashing a check. I've got the check, I've got the fee, I click cash out, and the system tells me to hand back $284 to this customer. So that's the complete process. Obviously, with description and explaining, it's taken longer than it would in real time. It can be done in under 2 minutes, even in a busy day for you. And a returning customer even faster, because obviously you're not going through that whole setup process. So information, database is where you set up your fees and your POS information. CTR is built in, so we'll flag any transactions that FinCEN requires you to file a report for. We've got built-in CTR and SAR reports. Some states we even have specific format reports for those states, such as Florida, California. That you can also use, because the state is very stringent about the reports that they require from you. General reports you can select by checks, by sales, by customers. Some of these others are more for the loans outside of the system. Just to show you an example, and they all kind of use the same format as far as options, information, date ranges, whatever it is you might be looking for. I'm just going to select one here just to show you an example of a report, and it gets displayed on the screen. You can print it, you can read it, you can save it in different formats. This is a type of an end of the day report. It shows me my starting cash count in the drawer, my ending count to help me balance out at the end of the day. Also my check volume, amounts, fees, any sales that I've run through the cash register, as well as loans if you're into the loans part of the product. So again, that's how the reports work, and you've got different options you can look for on the customers for those that need to. Again, that OFAC check is built in, so you can make sure that you've run OFAC against all of your customers. I am going to press my finger on the fingerprint reader, and because there's now a record on the database for me, we immediately retrieve it. And again, that's why we use the fingerprint. As the business owner, you decide which finger you want your customers to use, so they don't get creative and come back with different IDs and different fingers, try and be different people on you. Again, I've used an expired data or ID card, so that's warning me one more time. And something else that's built in, we start a 7-day counter when a person cashes a check. And so because of that, there's this message letting you know that I'm back within that 7-day window. If that's an issue, you can ask me about it. It doesn't prevent you from cashing another check for me, but it's just giving you that information. Something else that you can do on the customer record, if you need to, you can set a limit. I'm willing to cash checks for this person, but only up to this amount within this time frame, whatever that may be. Also, you can set a custom fee. Maybe this is a friend or a good customer, so you want to give him a break on the fee, so you can put that right on the customer record as well. If you need to, you can change the status of a customer very easily, from good to bad, or maybe warning, and that way you don't have to remember now which employee did I tell and who did I forget, or have sticky notes all over your terminal. It's right on the customer record. Anything you put in this notes area will display when the record does, so you've got that information as well. One last thing about the system: when you first set up the system, you would create a logon ID for each employee that will use the system. And when you do that, you have the option of turning off some of the functions within the product depending on who the employee is and their level of authority. You can decide who can set custom fees and not. You can put a specific limit on the amount that the employee can cash for a check, and if they exceed that, then that would require a manager to log in and approve. That's also connected with our current mobile app, so that if a manager is not on site, the employee could send a message off and the manager could get that information on their cell phone, look at the customer record, look at the check, see the history of the customer, and decide to approve or not at that point. So again, not as much detail as I can do with a live demo for you, but I hope it gives you a sense and a feel of our product. It's based on 20 years of actual check cashing experience, things to do, things to avoid. It creates that method and process for you to follow, but still within whatever parameters you want to set as the business manager. I thank you very much for your time and attention on this today. Please contact us at securecheckcashing.com for more information.